Hello, welcome to the Courageous Self-Care Show. I am your host, Christina Marlette. On the Courageous Self-Care Show, love to help women go from running on empty to renewable energy. And the way that we do that is by practicing courageous self-care. So that is the kind of self-care that is beyond bubble baths, chocolate, and wine. It's the self-care that takes courage and that we often need support for, which is why I wanted to make this show for you. So last week, if you tuned in, what I shared with you was the first 5 of 10 ways that we tend to drain our energy without noticing it. And what I want to share with you today is the other 5 ways, so 6 through 10. And just before we get into that, I'll share a little bit with you about just something that you might have noticed. And there's a reason that I'm going to share it. So first of all, you may notice if you've been watching the show that I am not in my regular studio. I'm in a different part of my house, in my recording studio, in my office. And that's because I'm trying out different ways to make this show really effective and useful for you, and also practicing self-care for myself. And the reason I chose to do the show here today is that because all my equipment was set up and I am going on vacation and I wanted to get this show done ahead of time. So there's a few self-care tips packaged in there for you. I used to be, well, probably still am to a certain extent, but I have had the habit of making things really hard and challenging for myself. And when I was doing the Ugly Awkward Dance show, I don't know if I explained it to you before, but I was filming in one part of my house and then taking down all my equipment and lighting and setting it up somewhere else. And I was doing that 2 to 3 times for each 30-minute episode, which was really draining. And so with the format I'm using today, I'm being really caring to myself. What I care most about is getting this information to you. And I know that you don't really care where I sit in my house to share it with you. And the second thing I wanted to share with you is that I am wearing the same outfit that I wore last week. And the reason I'm saying that to you is because I've taken some trainings on creating shows and web TV, and you're not supposed to wear the same thing 2 weeks in a row. You're not supposed to wear the same outfit ever again. However, I am rebelling against that because I think you don't care about that. I think you care about the information, not about what I'm wearing. And I didn't go through a teenage rebellion. So I find different ways to rebel as an adult. And I say that you don't care what outfit that I'm wearing, and you do not require of me to go out and get a new outfit every time I make a show for you. That doesn't make financial sense. And I know you don't expect that. So here I am, same outfit, because I actually made last week's show and today's show in the same time period so that I can get it done and enjoy my holidays. So just wanted to be vulnerable with you and authentic and speak my truth and put that out there because I walk my own talk. And I know it doesn't seem like a big deal that I just told that to you, but the old Christina never would have told you that. She would have, or I would have definitely gone and changed my whole outfit and followed that expert advice and not rebelled. And the new me, I would rather just follow what feels good and then share it with you, share that experience. So just because someone else said I had to do something, I don't necessarily need to follow that. I need to tune in to what's good for me and make that choice first. So here we are. That's what is behind the way that I look. And I like this outfit. So there you go. Now, getting into, I'll just share with you also that this is ways 6 through 10 that we tend to drain energy without noticing it. And then when I'm done those, I will answer another viewer question so that one of our lucky viewers can win a prize, which I will explain to you towards the end. Okay, getting into way number 6 that we tend to drain our energy without even noticing it. maybe I should tell you a little bit. So in case you didn't tune in last week, before I get to that number 6, this is suspense on purpose. I know you just can't wait to find out. So what I wanted to say, now I just lost my train of thought. Oh, yes. So getting into these ways that we drain our energy, I used to be someone who was always seeking ways to feel more energized. And I don't do energy drinks. I don't drink coffee or go for caffeine or that kind of thing, but I wanted to feel energized from the inside out. And I am very interested in nutrition. I've been studying that for probably 2 decades. And so that was one way that I was looking to do it, but nothing ever seemed to make much of a difference for me. I've done cleanses, I've eaten different ways, been really restrictive, and I never felt any better. So that wasn't the solution. And when my kids were little, of course, I didn't get much sleep. So I felt drained from that. But as they got older and started sleeping, I still didn't feel very energized. And so I started seeking ways that I was curious why I wasn't feeling energized. And what I discovered is through years of intensive personal development, I had all these ways that I was draining my energy without even knowing it. So these are the courageous self-care practices that I want to share with you today. And then the other thing is, I forget. It will come to me. Oh, yes. This is assuming that you have, that you're ingesting foods that are nutritious for you, that you drink lots of water, because that makes a huge difference in how much energy you have. And also that you are moving your body on a regular basis and that you're taking care of yourself in all of those external ways, the external self-care, doing your bubble baths and, ingesting things that make you feel great. So we're assuming that that's the base level. If not, we can get into that another time. But these are other ways that you are going to feel more energized by learning about. Okay, so enough of the suspense. Way number 6 that you are potentially draining your energy without even knowing it is by living in lack. Oh my gosh, this has so many layers. So I didn't used to be someone who knew about the concept of lack. And then as I started doing all these personal development courses and reading books and taking courses and being a member in different programs, I started to learn that my relationship with lack was like my best friend without even knowing it. So lack is the feeling of not enough. So if you tuned in last week, one of the ways that we can be in lack is with time. And we talked about how we can shift our beliefs with time. But the other ways that lack shows up in our lives is not enough money, not enough friends. I'm too old, so I'm lacking in youthful energy. Anytime we don't have enough of something, that is lack. And it is so pervasive. So I'll go through a process or I'll learn more about lack and do some introspection, and I'll think, okay, now I've got it. And then something else will show up and I'll think, what? I experience lack in that area too? Oh my gosh. But the best thing about discovering these different ways that I relate to lack, because that's just what we learn in our society. We don't have enough of anything. And so what I've learned is, I lost my train of thought again. Goodness, friends, I'm just so excited. My mind is full. Excited to share this with you. So, there's just so many different ways that we relate to lack, and there's not enough. So what I want to share with you now is the antidote to lack, and that is gratitude. I saw a painting recently that said, gratitude changes everything. And oh my gosh, it is so true. Being grateful is the complete opposite of lack. So it's the difference between focusing on what you don't have to focusing on what you do have. And if you are watching this show, you are likely more fortunate than 90% of people in the world who don't have access to reliable electricity and a device to watch it on and a place that's safe enough to watch it. We have so many things to be grateful for. And I'll give you a couple of my gratitude practices that have made a huge difference for me. Number one is I start off my day thanking the universe, God, creator, spirit, whichever word serves you. I use all of them, for 5 things. I feel grateful for Mother Earth and this beautiful place that we live that provides everything that I need. I also feel grateful for all my ancestors and spirit helpers and angels that protect me and guide me. Number 3, I feel grateful for my current and future abundance and prosperity. Number 4, I feel grateful for my current and future radiant health and vitality. And number 5, I feel grateful for all the blessings of yesterday and all the blessings that are on their way to me today. And I breathe through that and I just go through that in my mind. And wow, that's a much better way to start off the day than, oh my gosh, I have to do this. And oh, I didn't get enough sleep. And oh, I don't have enough energy. And look at all these things I have to do today. Oh, and just on this topic, the word busy shows if you say, I'm too busy or I'm so busy, how are you? I'm busy. That is a word that denotes that we have a lot of lack in our lives. So I've changed that phrase to my life is pleasantly full. And to me, that feels so much better. You can try it out if that resonates with you. But busy definitely isn't a word that fills me up. So I've stopped using it. And the other gratitude practice I wanted to share with you is at the end of the day, I write in a gratitude journal. I write down all the things that happened during the day or the ways that I showed up that felt really good to me. And I keep track of it because what we focus on expands. That's one of the laws of the universe. So I focus on being grateful for what I do have and what showed up in my life each day. And then the universe says, oh, look at her. She is so grateful. She's vibrating at this gratitude frequency. And then more of that comes back to me instead of like I used to do, focusing on the things that I didn't have or the people that didn't show up or just the have not. And if that's where you're vibrating, then the universe will give you more of that. And so gratitude does change everything. Okay. Number 7. Another way that you might be draining your energy without knowing it is by trying to control too much. And for a lot of women, it might be trying to control everything. This is something I used to do. I wanted to control everything about me. I wanted to control all the situations and circumstances, and I wanted to control other people too, especially people in my family. So that didn't work so well. It ended up making me frustrated and resentful. And when things didn't go my way, I would get really angry and not understand why that was happening. So what I've learned now, the opposite of trying to control everything and everyone, is the art of surrender. Surrendering and knowing that I don't have to do it all myself. I don't have to know the answer to everything. I can, in fact, ask for help. And that has been such a valuable skill to learn. Whenever I'm feeling overwhelmed, now my family will say, Mommy, what can we do? You seem to have too much on the go. So what can we do? And wow, does that ever feel good to be acknowledged and also to be able to know that I don't have to do it all myself. So here's an example. Every year around Christmas, for years, I would get really stressed because in addition to regular life, there would be all these other tasks that had to be accomplished in my mind. They're just stuff that I made up that I felt that I had to do, like bake, 6 dozen or 6 different kinds of cookies so that, I could give them away and prove to people that I was very Christmassy giving. And the Christmas card had to be done in a certain way and only I could do it. And the Christmas calendar that we would give out as a gift had to be done a certain way and only I could do that and choose the right photos to go in it and on and on and on this list. And then my husband would say, what can I do to help you out? And I'd say, nothing, I've got it. I'm going to do it all because only I know how to do it. And that was silly, I realized. So for the past, just this last year, my husband said, why don't you make a list of all the things that you feel that you need to accomplish around this time of year, and then delegate some of them, and we could take something off your hands. And so I decided, with very tight fists, I finally let go of the calendar, and my husband and my kids made the calendar this past year. And oh my gosh, what I learned is that, number one, I didn't have to do it, so that released all the tension and took a giant task off my plate. And number two, my husband and my kids benefited so much from having that new responsibility, and knowing that well, in particular my kids, knowing that I trusted them with this job that I had not been willing to let them do before. And I surrendered it. And did it turn out fine? Yes. Was it exactly how I would have done it? No. However, the rewards far outweighed the control that I was trying to exert over that practice of having to do it myself. And so little by little, I've been surrendering different tasks that I have felt up until now only I could do. And each time I am reminded, not only do I get the gift of not having to do that anymore, also I'm entrusting someone else to do it and giving them the gift of feeling important and having increased responsibility and knowing that I trust them enough to do that. So we all benefit. It is a win-win. And I would love for you to experience that art of surrender as well. And you can start off with something that's really little. It doesn't have to be major, just like a Christmas calendar, not a big deal. But in the end, it made a big deal to my energy, especially around Christmas time. Okay, number 8, another way that you may be draining your energy without even knowing it. Number 8 is giving too much to others and not leaving enough for yourself. So if you saw at the beginning of the show, there was a glass that was running on empty. And then there was a glass that was overflowing with crystal clear, beautiful water. We want to be giving from a place of overflow, not from emptiness, of course, and not even from half full or almost full. We want to be giving from the overflow. That is when it actually feels good to give. And so many women, I know because I used to be one too, so many women give from a glass that's half full. Is that a good demo there? Or almost full. And then we give a little bit here. We give a little bit to our family. We give a little bit to charity. We give a little bit to volunteer time. We give a little bit to where we feel spiritually enriched, until all of a sudden the glass is empty and we forgot to take time for ourselves. So giving from the overflow, what that means, ladies, is that we actually must nurture ourselves first. We must do the things that fill us up first. And so here's my tip around that. I am strategic about it. I know that I find it really hard to put myself at the top of my list of things to do and people to take care of. So our motivation is highest in the morning, and so is our willpower. And so what I do after I've gotten the kids to school, or like first thing when I wake up in the morning, I make sure I'm doing that gratitude practice I shared with you. So that's giving to me. And then I build into my morning ways that I'm going to take care of myself that fill me up first, so that when other people need me and need my energy, I'm giving from that overflow. So if there's any way you can practice your courageous self-care first thing in the morning, to me, that has made a huge difference. And it's things that if by the end of the day I haven't done them, my willpower is gone. I can't do them anymore because I just don't have enough energy to make that willpower happen. And that generally happens on days that I've given to everyone but myself. So yes, of course I slip up sometimes. I don't always do it, but my vision for myself and my intention is that I do take care of myself first thing. And then the other thing about that is that I've created rituals for myself. I don't have routines. I don't know why I felt I needed to do air quotes around that, but I did. So I don't do routines. I don't have my exercise routine. I don't have my self-care routine. What I've developed is rituals, which to me feels so delicious and nurturing and yummy. I would much rather partake in a ritual than do my routine. So I ensure that each day I'm doing at least part of my self-care ritual, if not all of it. And that helps to fill me up so that I can give to others and from that overflow. And that starts by nurturing myself first. Next, let me just take a breath. Maybe you'd like to take one with me. Good. That was a nice pause. Okay, so now number 9. Another way that we tend to drain our energy without even knowing it is by hiding who we are and sculpting ourselves into who we believe other people want us to be instead of showing up as who we are. I used to hide so much about myself. Last show I talked about how I hid most of my emotions if they weren't sunny and pleasant. And I used to hide who I was in the way that I dressed. And I hid who I was by playing small and not wanting to make other people feel smaller than me. So the other side of that, a way that actually brings out so much energy, because it takes energy to hide who we are. And why do you want to waste your energy on that? I often also didn't offer my opinion about things. I didn't want to rock the boat. I didn't want to create conflict. So I hid who I was in all those ways. What I can share with you is that full self-expression actually takes way less energy than hiding. So full self-expression, that can show up by speaking our truth, which can feel so scary because we might create conflict, but it's a muscle. We develop the skill of being able to speak our truth. And wow, it makes such a huge difference. Being fully expressed in our creativity. So exploring how we love to create. We're all designed to create things, create beauty, create memorable experiences, perhaps create art, create a lovely meal, create a conversation with a loved one. So how do you love to create? Knowing that and then expressing yourself through that gives so much energy. And specifically in fashion, what I love to do now, people often say to me, do you design your own clothes? Are you a designer? Are you a model? Because of the clothes that you wear, they're so interesting. And no. All I do is whenever I get dressed to go out somewhere, I challenge myself to do one thing that feels a little bit outside of my comfort zone fashion-wise. So today, I didn't know that if this space shirt, there you can see, I didn't know if that would look good on camera, but I challenged myself. I'm going to go outside my comfort zone and wear this because this is what I wanted to wear and it expresses who I am. So there's a little tip for you on that. We want to experience full self-expression in as many different aspects of our lives as possible. Number 10, last way that we may be draining our energy without even knowing it is inefficient celebration. We often don't acknowledge ourselves. We feel uncomfortable standing in the limelight or even saying to ourselves, I did a great job of that. So what we want to do, my tip for this, is practice self-acknowledgement regularly. I do it every night. On one hand, I count 5 different ways that I love how I showed up during that day. And it has made such a huge difference. I might say, I love how I wanted to be critical of my child, but instead I gave a hug. Or I might say, I love how I made dinner today. It was so beautiful. And it can be 5 things about who we are, 5 things that we accomplished, 5 things that we're proud of. And that's a great practice to start getting into the habit and building up the muscle of self-acknowledgement, because the more we can acknowledge ourselves and know our gifts, the more we're able to share them with others. And that is a much better way to use energy, and it fills us up rather than depleting. All right, we're nearing the end. So I want to answer a viewer question. This one comes from Maria. Maria, I have no idea how to pronounce your last name, so I'm not even going to try, but I'll put it on the screen. Maria asked a whole bunch of different self-care questions, and the one that I'll answer today will be, in a moment, I'll share it with you. So what Maria wins by asking this question is a free ticket to my next virtual workshop on Hawaiian healing dance, freedom through forgiveness. So Maria, you can send me an email or contact me on Facebook, and I'll get you your ticket and pass to that event. If you have a question about courageous self-care, please type it into the comments or put it on the Courageous Self-Care Facebook page, and maybe you will win that prize as well. So Maria's question was, who is your self-care role model? I have two that I have thought about it for weeks, Maria. It was such a great question. So I would say my self-care role models are my mentors, Deborah Poneman and Marcy Shimoff. They practice courageous self-care. They're full of ideas on different ways that we as women can practice this courageous self-care. And I belong to their year-long program. I've done it for the last 2.5 years. And I've been able to learn all of their self-care practices, and they are women who really take care of themselves so that they can give from that overflow that I was talking about. So I'm going to wrap it up. And, okay, I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you so much for joining me for this edition of the Courageous Self-Care Show. Please leave a comment, ask a question if you have one, and I look forward to seeing you again next week. Oh, and the other thing I wanted to say was, if you enjoyed this peek at the top 10 ways that we tend to drain our energy, there is a course, an online course that is self-paced that you can follow and experiment with these different aspects. You can go to my website, courageousselfcare.com, to access that course. It's 7 weeks of courageous self-care. And I am so grateful that we've been able to share this time together. I look forward to seeing you again next week. Thank you so much. And go out and practice some courageous self-care.